You've got ideas, you've got ambition, you've got no time, or so you think. I'm Marissa Lonick, and I help busy moms with big dreams and no time. Join me each week as I dive into time management strategies, goal setting and achieving framework, and inspiring guests who are juggling mom life, work life, fill in the blank life. Dreams don't work unless you do, and just because you're a mom doesn't mean you can't still make it happen, whatever it means to you. Welcome to the Mama Work It podcast. Hello, mamas. Welcome back to another amazing episode of the Mama Work It podcast. I am your host, Marissa Lonick, working mama for time management and productivity coach, author, speaker, and your bestie for the next 25-ish minutes, I hope. Okay, so today we are going to be diving into all things stress relief when it comes to working mom life. The juggle is real, mamas, and I know you know what that working mom stress feels like if you're currently doing the thing. For many years, I was a corporate executive working in San Francisco, commuting over 3 hours daily with 2, then 3, then 4 kids at home, and it was no easy feat, okay? Like working mom life, it is not for the faint at heart. The stress can be no joke. Now, I'm working at home now, like many other mamas out there are, but the working mom stress can often still show up. Of course, I do think not having to physically leave my kids every day and commute to an office, it absolutely makes things less chaotic and less stressful. But stress can creep in other ways when you're working from home. So this episode really applies to any mom out there who is juggling work and motherhood and feeling stressed and wanting some real tips to make it go away. Okay, if this is you, I've got you covered in today's episode. Okay. Because I like time, we are going to break this episode down by segments of time throughout your day. I think this approach is going to be very, very helpful, not only because it won't feel overwhelming to be thinking about all the things at once, but also because it's going to simplify it for you. You aren't going to have to think about when to do this or when to do that. You are literally going to get these tips not only for what they are, but also exactly when you should be implementing them. Now, you would think we'd be starting in the morning, right? Because it is the start of the day. But I am actually going to take this from a different approach here. I'm going to be starting with the night before, because the more you can be prepared and ahead of things in the morning, the less likely you will start your day feeling stressed. It is as simple as that. Also, the more prepared you feel for the day ahead, the better you will be able to sleep, which means you're hopefully well rested the next morning. And again, less likely to let things stress you out that might normally ruffle your feathers a bit more if you were already on edge, overtired, overwhelmed, you name it. So we're starting the night before. Okay. What are some things you can do the night before that would make your morning easier? Is it packing the kids' lunches? I recently did an IG poll on my stories and saw that a lot of you, like over 50% of you, in fact, who answered this poll are packing lunches for their kids the night before. Now, personally, I'm like a half and half on how often I do this, okay? But I will say the days I do, my mornings are a lot less hectic because I'm not trying to multitask as much. I can be more present and engage more with my kids rather than trying to do lots of other things while I also do that. The other thing that you can do the night before that makes a huge difference, in my opinion, is to pick out your outfit and lay it out. Yeah. So back in season 1, we had stylist Paul Jolch of Urbanite Suburbanite also express his positive opinion on doing this because it allows you to start your day without having to make yet another decision. We make a lot of decisions throughout the day. It also can help you feel more motivated and excited to slay the day when you are rocking a cute outfit. Just my opinion there, okay? So pick out your outfit the night before. Another thing I'm going to tell you to do the night before is to ensure your kitchen is in good shape, that it's clean, okay? Now, I don't know about you, but I fucking hate walking into a sink full of dishes or a kitchen that looks like a bomb went off first thing in the morning. It is like such a pet peeve for me, and it can really put me in a total funk right away in my day. So if you obviously you don't have to deep clean every single night in the kitchen, but you can totally bang out getting it in order and clean in probably like 15 minutes if you really focus and you aren't consistently distracted by other things. And it will totally make you less stressed and feel more blessed, even if you don't have the kitchen of your dreams just yet. Okay, like me, trust me. Okay, finally, one more thing when it comes to night before. I would be remiss if I didn't mention an incredible tool that I developed called Word to Your Mother, a Mama's Guide to Journal Today and Slay Tomorrow. Because this has helped me and so many other mamas out there be able to get in the right headspace to be organized, to be focused, to be intentional with their goals the following day. This book, this exercise, it takes you no more than 15 minutes, and it allows you to not only reflect on your day, but plan for the next, setting intentions, getting crystal clear on what needs to be done, holding yourself accountable without feeling like you have to get through your entire to-do list of life. So if this sounds intriguing and interesting to you, you can grab your copy of this journal planner right on my website, www.mamaworkit.com/word to your mother. Okay, we are moving on. So we've covered some prep work the night before. Now let's talk about the actual morning of. So mornings can be super, super rough for working moms because we're not only thinking about all the kid stuff that surrounds us, we are also thinking about all the work stuff that awaits us very shortly. And now I have the pleasure of living on the West Coast in the US, right? And this means that I'm basically one of the last time zones in the world here, okay? And when you run a global business, a lot has already happened by the time you even open your eyes. Like, even if you open them very early, okay? So it can be very difficult to not wake up and be thrown into work stuff as well as kid stuff. And that can feel really stressful before my feet have even hit the ground. So here are my morning tips for you. Tip number 1, wake up before the kids. Like, even if the kids wake up super early, wake up before them. Can be 15 to 20 minutes, whatever you can do, make it happen. Do what you can, but do your best. Do your best to not wake up to a toddler's face right in front of you, okay? It's really, really important to start your day doing something for yourself before you start doing all the things for all the people around you. And realistically, the only way to make that happen when you're a mom is often by waking up earlier. So we've got an entire podcast episode. It's episode 16, in fact, called Morning Routines for the Win. And that episode will share with you all of my best morning routine tips if you want to dive deeper into this concept. For now, I will give you some bits and pieces that relate to today's episode, but that is definitely a good one if you want to listen to it right after this one, and if this is really gelling with you, because it's going to really dive deeper into the morning routine. All right, here is another tip for the morning. Tip number 2, get a workout in. Again, this doesn't need to be huge, but some type of movement in the morning is good. If you can sweat, even better. If you can get at least 20 minutes, even better than better. But even if this is just 5 or 10 minutes, some type of movement is going to help you. You're going to release endorphins, which will help you combat stress. You're going to release toxins, which will help you combat stress. You're going to feel damn good about yourself, which will help you combat stress, like all good stuff. So I typically do either a 20 or 30-minute YouTube workout or a 30-minute treadmill workout. But sometimes I only do like 10 minutes of strength training or something like that. And it still allows me to feel like I've done this for me and my body and my mind. Most people don't realize how beneficial exercise is, not just for your physical body, but also for your mental health. Okay, so tip number 2, get a workout in. Doesn't need to be anything major, even if it's just a few minutes. Move your body. Do it in the morning. All right, tip number 3, super simple, okay? Drink a glass of water before you drink any caffeine. Basically, hydrate before you dehydrate. One of my 2022 goals was to get better about drinking enough water, something I have definitely struggled with in the past. Sometimes I forget. Sometimes I just don't want to drink it. Sometimes I have really good intentions and then my kids drink my water and I don't want to touch it anymore because I'm kind of grossed out by all the backwash that's in there now. But I've gotten much more diligent about hydration, and a really easy way to just kickstart my day in ensuring that I'm getting enough water is to simply drink a glass before I drink anything else. So a tip for you here is to have a glass of water on your nightstand and drink it before you even get out of bed, or to have a glass while your coffee is brewing and make it a rule that you have to finish it before you can drink your coffee. Here's a good one. You can even put it in your coffee cup. So you can't pour your coffee in until it's empty. Bam! All right. Drink a glass of water. Tip number 4 in the morning. Do not, I repeat, do not check your email or phone first thing in the morning. Now, I mentioned I live on the West Coast. A lot has already happened in the world by the time I wake up, but I work really hard at not looking at my phone first thing when I wake up. Why? Because I don't want that energy, whatever awaits me in my inbox or on my social feeds or you name it, I don't want it to dictate how I'm going to feel that day. And it's really easy when the first thing you do in the morning is absorb content from someone else that you don't have control over. It's really easy for that to affect your mood, your stress levels, your entire day. So set some boundaries here. Make it a rule that you don't check your phone or emails until you are ready to dive into that, whether that be after your exercise or after you hydrate or after you've dropped off your kids or after your nanny has arrived or after you've showered and gotten dressed, whatever feels good to you. But do not start your day by looking at your phone. All right, glad we've gotten that covered. So we've talked about the morning. We've talked about my tips for the morning. Now we are going to move on to your actual work day. Now for me, if you've read my books or taken any of my courses or participated in any of my coaching programs, you know how I feel about multitasking. And if you haven't, I will dive into that here with you today and I will give you a quick refresher. All right, so here we go. A lot of experts out there, a lot of really successful people out there are going to say point blank, don't multitask. I've heard it. I've been on the receiving side of this advice. And hey, here's the thing. I get it and I understand it. And I even have a lot of respect for these individuals. So I get it. I believe it. Okay. Why are they telling you not to multitask? Because we all know when you multitask, it takes your attention away fully from what you're doing, right? Your mind is in a different place from potentially what you're doing. And it's easier to make mistakes. It's easier for you to get a little bit more stressed out, right? Feel frazzled, feel anxious. So I completely understand where this is coming from. I think it's really good advice, but here's the deal. You know me, I keep it real. Working mom of four, already told you that in the beginning. And in my house, if I didn't multitask daily, like shit might hit the fan, right? Like balls might be dropped, things might not get done that needed to get done. And I got to keep the ship moving, right? This is a well oiled machine here. I got to do what I got to do. And I'm sure in your house, it's very similar. So what I did was I came up with a multitasking mantra that I feel is crucial and important to be able to implement if you don't want to feel all those feelings that I mentioned before, the stress, the feeling frazzled, the feeling anxious, because that can happen when we're multitasking. If you want to feel actually productive and like you're keeping the ship moving without feeling all those things, okay? And here's the mantra. So if you're here, if you're with me, if you're intrigued, write this one down. And if you can't write it down right now because you're multitasking listening to this, save this episode and come back to it, okay? You are going to want to multitask the mindless and solo task the mindful. You are going to be very, very intentional about what you choose to multitask and what you choose not to multitask. All right. When I say you multitask the mindless, I mean the things you can do on autopilot, the things that come naturally to you, the things that if you messed up a little bit wouldn't be the end of the world. Okay. I'm thinking things like laundry. I'm thinking things like cleaning up the kitchen, packing lunches, maybe even exercise. Okay. And when I say to multitask these things, I want you to multitask them with things that maybe bring you a little more joy. Okay. Maybe you are constantly telling yourself you don't have time to do those things because you're so busy. Yet, if you multitask them, if you thought about how you could multitask them with some of these other things that you're doing, you could probably make it happen. So let's say listening to podcasts, listening to books. People say, I don't have time to read. Have you tried listening to your books while you're doing other things? That's about the only way I read these days. Catching up with friends, never have time to call that friend back. Have you tried calling that friend or sending her a voice note or a Voxer while you're folding laundry? Makes folding laundry a lot less shitty. I'll just tell you that. All right, so multitask the mindless, hopefully with something that brings you a little bit more joy into your day, makes you feel less stressed. Now, on the flip side, solo task the mindful. Solo task the things that you actually do need to be all in and present for. If you weren't paying attention to what you were doing, if your mind was in 17 other places, you probably would mess it up. And it probably would cost you a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of anxiety and stress to fix it. So these are the things like work projects. These are the things like having dinner with your family and actually engaging in a conversation, right? Not trying to check your email during that time. These are things like really connecting with friends or kids or your partner or spouse. So to me, work is a solo task. Childcare is a solo task. And the reason why I can and I will stand by this, because I was a mom of 4 kids under 6 in 2020, and I had to multitask these two worlds. I had to multitask my work and I had to multitask my childcare because I lost my childcare and I was a corporate executive and it was not ideal and it felt nearly impossible most days to make this happen. And if you were a mom during the pandemic, the height of it, you know what I'm talking about, right? My stress levels were high a lot. Now, did I find tips and tricks and ways to make this work? I sure did. I even created a course called How to Work from Home with Kids During a Pandemic, which has helped working parents in over 90 countries and maintains a 4.7 out of 5 rating. But the most important thing it taught me was that multitasking things that are important to you doesn't work. So here's the tip here. Stop trying to multitask the mindful. If you find yourself doing this, it is likely causing you tons more stress than you need. Now, Does this mean you have to be super, super rigid with yourself when it comes to work hours versus kid hours versus personal hours? Not exactly. Not exactly. Like, I think it's fine to switch back and forth and side to side as needed, but stop trying to be present in all areas at once, because that's not serving you well and likely causing you to feel a lot more on edge and probably less than of a mom, of an employee or entrepreneur, a friend, a wife, you name it. So you might be listening and thinking right now, well, you work for yourself. You set your own hours. You have childcare and kids in school. You're in a different situation than I'm in. And I'm going to tell you right now, in many ways, I do have a pretty great setup right now. Okay. Like, yeah, it works. It's working for me. I worked my ass off to get here. Okay. I make sacrifices to afford a wonderful nanny. I haven't always had this particular setup. I think we all go through different seasons of motherhood and work life and you name it. But the real flex, in my opinion, is figuring out how to make it work in any of those situations. And I feel damn proud that I have been able to do that. I feel confident that you can also do the same. So do not let excuses, circumstances, situations, seasons, fill in the blank stop you right now. Don't let thinking someone else has something you don't have stop you right now from stepping into a different version of your life, of yourself, that you could be living because you simply don't think it's possible for you. It is so freaking possible, and you are so freaking capable of doing it. You don't need to be a victim of stress. You need to be someone stress doesn't even care to visit because you don't answer the door when she comes. All right, let's talk about the evening now, the evening hours, because those can be quite stressful. A lot of things to do, a lot of balls to juggle, and you're often not as energetic and perky as you are in the morning, perhaps after a day of work and all the things. So the best tips I'm going to give you when it comes to evening time, these are going to be centered around routines and planning ahead. Once again, because what you don't want to do is to put even more pressure, even more decisions and unpredictability on yourself at a time of day when you're likely feeling a bit depleted. So if you're not already meal planning, you're going to want to do this, okay? I'm not, just full disclaimer, I'm not a Pinterest-worthy meal planner here. I don't have tons of gallon-sized Ziploc bags in my freezer of like ready to throw in the slow cooker meals, beautifully labeled, and most importantly, that everyone in my home likes to eat. I just don't. And if you do, bless you, child, okay? Because I'm not there. But what I do when it comes to meal planning is I do think about what our lives look like on specific nights of the week. And I plan meals according to that. So for example, on Mondays, we have soccer for 3 kids. We don't eat dinner until nearly 7 p.m. by the time we're all back home because we eat together. That's a rule in our house. So on Mondays, I never ever put immense pressure on myself to make anything that takes real time to prepare. In fact, I will often have a freezer meal for a Monday ready to just pop in the oven, or something that I can prepare very quickly, like under 10 or 15 minutes, or something my husband can do easily while he is watching half the kids, okay? I am also taking into account that our kids are eating later than usual and have just finished sports practices, so they're likely very hungry, maybe even hangry, and I need to feed them quickly and feed them foods they're actually going to eat and not complain about, right? Which is a regular occurrence in our home at dinner time. Something that also raises my stress level and drives me nuts. So having some type of meal plans for the week is definitely helpful, especially when you pair that with what your days, your evenings look like, and what your crew will hopefully not give you hell for cooking. Other things that help my evening feel less stressful is simply creating routines. Routines when it comes to showers or bath time, routines when it comes to homework, routines when it comes to bedtime, routines when it comes to cleanup, routines. This is helpful because it sets expectations for everyone at home. Everyone knows what is coming and is less likely to misbehave or give you a hard time about bedtime or throw a tantrum or whatever it is. Now, does this mean our evenings are seamless? Hell no. There is likely always someone yelling or crying here, but routines do help me and everyone else feel even just a little bit less stressed and more in control of the situation rather than overwhelmed by it all. If you are someone who needs to dive back into work now after bedtime, I often do this, I will just say, try your best to not make this a nightly habit. Reason being, it's really, really important. Even if you love the work like I do, you have to disconnect sometimes and you have to spend time with your partner or time with yourself, not actually working. And most importantly, recharge. Without that recharge, what's going to happen is you're going to start your next day without all your stress combat gear on. And you guessed it, you're going to feel more stressed, more anxious, and less able to handle it as easily. So make sure you do a little something that recharges your batteries, whatever it looks like to you. Okay. Mamas, that is it. I hope you have found this episode to be super helpful for you, maybe even taken away some good tangible tips. And if you find yourself feeling overwhelmed and stressed more often than not in your working mom life, I would love to have you join our Time Momagement 4-week program to help you go from stressed to obsessed with your life and schedule. These time management tools and strategies have helped me, have helped countless other mamas out there completely transform their lives and feel so much better when it comes to the juggle of work life and mom life and wife life and fill in the blank life. This program will literally change you for the better. It is about so much more than just getting organized. It's about feeling good so you can do good. So if you want to learn more about it, head on over to www.mamaworkit.com/time momagement. And that link will also be in the show notes in addition to any other links we mentioned today. So thank you for listening. And I hope you have a stressless and amazing day. Keep on working it, mama. Bye. You've been listening to the Mama Work It podcast. I hope you've enjoyed this episode and would love if you could take a quick minute to leave me a review on whichever platform you're listening from, and maybe even send a note to a fellow mama friend recommending it. Reviews and recs help this podcast grow and reach more like-minded, awesome moms. And if you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click that button so we can stay in touch, girl. By the way, if you haven't checked out the Mama Work It website, please do. There are lots of free resources and great articles there that can help you with the juggle of work life, mom life, wife life, fill in the blank life. So head on over. Thanks again for being part of the tribe. I'll see you soon, but in the meantime, keep on working it, mama.